You're listening to Engaging Early Learners. I'm Rachel Glassman, special education teacher and resource creator. This podcast is your go-to for classroom strategies and teaching support that you can actually use. Whether you're on your way to work or heading home, I'm so glad you're here. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 10 of Engaging Early Learners. I cannot believe I am recording my 10th episode of my very own podcast. This is one of my favorite parts of the week where I get to sit down and I get to talk to you guys, and I know that it's going to be saved somewhere for a very long time so that you guys can refer back to it, or when you have questions for me, I can refer you to an episode. I wanted to start this podcast for all of those reasons, so I'm just so happy that we're here, and welcome to episode 10. So today we are going to be talking about something that I think almost every teacher is probably feeling right now: counting down the days until summer. And if you're counting down the days, this episode is for you. I think that this time of year brings up a lot of mixed emotions for teachers because on one hand, of course, we love our students, we love our job, we care about teaching, and we've worked so hard all year round. But on the other hand, we are exhausted. We're always exhausted, but we are especially exhausted this time of year. We are mentally exhausted, physically exhausted, emotionally exhausted. And sometimes I think that us teachers start to feel a little guilty admitting that. And it's taken even me a long time, years and years, to be able to just fully admit, yeah, I'm tired. I love what I do. No one loves teaching more than me. I mean, I have a whole podcast about it. But you can still be exhausted. You can still be counting down the days until summer. I think that there's like this weird pressure in education to act like if you really love teaching, then you should never need a break. Like you should be excited and patient and creative and energized every single day from September all the way till June, or August all the way till May. But that's just literally not realistic. You can absolutely love teaching and still desperately need summer break. Everyone needs breaks. You can love your kiddos and still feel completely overstimulated by the end of the day. You can be so grateful for your job and being in the school, the community that you're in, and still feel burnt out. Those things can exist all at the same time. So today's episode is going to be part encouragement, part survival guide, and part reminder that you are not the only teacher in survival mode right now, desperately trying to get to summer break. Because honestly, I think almost everyone is. Some people just don't want to admit it. So if your class feels a little louder lately, if your patience feels a little shorter lately, if you've looked at the calendar 17 times today, if you've started calculating how many Mondays are left, this episode is for you. And I have done all of these things. And hopefully by the end of this episode, you'll feel a little less alone and maybe walk away with a few practical things that can help make these last few weeks feel a little more manageable and bearable. Okay, so first, let's talk about why this part of the year feels so hard. And we all know this, but let me just remind you. I think sometimes us teachers beat ourselves up for being tired in April, May, June, without realizing how much we have actually been carrying all year long. Think about everything that teaching requires on a daily basis. Minute by minute even. You're making decisions constantly from the second you walk into the building, sometimes even before that. You're solving problems, you're managing behaviors, you're answering questions, planning lessons, handling emotions. Let me keep going. Watching for safety issues, helping struggling students, communicating with families, keeping track of schedules, meeting deadlines, remembering a million little things all day long. And if you're not a teacher watching this, that list I just listed is only a part of it. Let's not forget the kids in front of us and how we literally have anywhere from, 1 to 30 kids in our classroom at a time that we have to manage. And you are doing the most all day long. And you're doing most of it while being overstimulated for hours straight. And you still have those kids in front of you. And you are rarely alone, rarely quiet or in a calm space because, again, those kids are right in front of you. You're rarely able to fully turn your brain off. And after doing that for an entire school year, of course, your body and your mind are exhausted. And to be honest, teaching fact is one of the most emotionally demanding jobs because you have to be on all of the time. Even when you are exhausted, you still have to show up for those kids. Even when your patience is low, you still have to regulate yourself so that you can help regulate them. Even when your brain feels fried, you still have to make decisions every single minute of the day. So if you're feeling done right now, it makes sense. It's normal. And I really want teachers to stop feeling ashamed for counting down the days. It's taken me some time, but there is no reason to feel ashamed or guilty for counting down those days, those minutes until summer break. Counting down does not mean that you don't like your job. It means you need rest. Athletes have off seasons, right? Performers have breaks. People in high stress jobs need recovery time. They get a lot of time off. Teachers do too. And I think a quick note about that time off, I think about how we get some personal days, sick days, whatever we get, right? But we still have to do work in order to take those days. We need to write sub-plans. We need to set up for any activity that's going to be done. What other job do you need to work for your day off? And I think sometimes social media also makes this worse because you'll see posts that are like, I never want the school year to end, or I'm going to miss my students so much. And yes, of course, and I'm going to miss my kids too. There's definitely emotional parts to the end of the year, but a lot of teachers are also just exhausted and just need that summer break. We are tired. We are very, very tired. And two things can be true at once. You can be sad that the year is ending and excited for summer all at the same time. All right. So now let's get into some actual survival tips I have for you because I know that a lot of us are just trying to make it through these last few weeks. My first tip is probably the biggest one. Stop trying to be a peak teacher right now. This is not the season to completely reinvent your classroom management, your lessons, any of that. This is not the season to start creating the world's most elaborate lesson plans. This is not the season to add more to your plate. You know, we're starting our ABC countdown on Monday. And yes, it is cool. It's exciting. It's something fresh and new for the end of the year, the last 26 school days. And yes, I still have 26 school days. But what I did this year with my ABC countdown was I made it the least bit stressful as possible on the families, on the kids, on myself, on the aides in the room. I made the days like low prep. I made it easy on families. Only a few days they have to send their kid in with something. There's like 1 or 2 days where they have to dress in a certain way. Very low prep, low stress. This is not the season to be adding more to our plates. I think sometimes teachers put pressure on themselves to finish strong. And while I definitely understand the idea behind that, I also think that there's a difference between finishing strong and running yourself into the ground, trying to maintain unrealistic expectations while we are in survival mode. You do not need to be your absolute best every single day to still be a good teacher. It's not realistic. Right now, consistency matters more than perfection. Predictability matters more than creativity. And honestly, simple usually works better this time of year anyway, because our students are also feeling that end of the year energy too. Let's not forget that. We are not the only ones feeling the nicer weather coming and itching for summer. The kids are too. So simplify wherever you can. Reuse activities if you can. Pull out games that students already know how to play and they're going to love playing them. It works on following directions, teamwork, sportsmanship, play some games, use partner work, do review activities, read aloud more, use educational videos strategically, but use the videos. Choose assignments that don't require 15 minutes of explanation. I think that this time of year is all about asking yourself, what gets the job done well without completely draining yourself, the aides in your room, even the kids? The kids cannot handle new or bigger things right now. They also are winding down. Because the truth is, exhausted teachers cannot function at full capacity forever. We cannot be expected to work and be at our full capacity every single day of the 180-day school year. And I wish more teachers heard this. So if you're listening to this and you know a teacher that could hear this, send it to them. You are allowed to make your life easier. You do not have to earn exhaustion just to prove that you care. All right. My next survival tip is to protect your energy as much as possible. These things all are going to connect. And I know sometimes that sounds impossible during the end of the school year because everything is chaotic. There's assemblies, there's end of the year activities, there's so many things, but even small changes can help. For example, maybe this is the time of year where you stop bringing home work one night a week. I know in past episodes I have talked about strategies to help yourself not burn out. And this was one of my strategies. And if you haven't tried it yet, that's okay. You're still a good teacher. You're still a good person. But maybe at the end of the year, let's try it. Because more so now than ever, we are burnt out. So maybe just one time a week, don't bring work home. Maybe stop answering emails late at night, even if it's just one day a week. Maybe choose easier dinners for yourself. Maybe you sit down while teaching whenever you can, instead of always feeling like you need to be up and about. Maybe you stop volunteering for extra things this time of year, whether that's a school thing or an outside of school thing. Maybe say no more. Maybe you let yourself be just good enough instead of trying to do everything perfectly. Because I think a lot of teachers are operating in survival mode while still expecting themselves to function like they are fully rested. And that just doesn't work. And I'm so glad I'm doing this episode because I need to hear this too. You cannot pour endlessly from an empty cup. And honestly, I think teachers are so used to pushing through exhaustion that we don't even realize how burnt out we actually are until we fully stop and think about it. Another thing that helps me this time of year is lowering unnecessary expectations. And I don't mean lowering expectations for student behavior or safety or important classroom routines, of course. I mean lowering expectations for things that truly do not matter in the long run. Does every single bulletin board need to look perfect right now? Probably not. Does every activity need to be like so perfect and cute? Nope. Does every lesson need to be the best lesson you've ever taught and the most creative thing you've ever done? Absolutely not. Sometimes survival mode teaching means focusing on what matters most and letting go of that extra pressure. And honestly, veteran teachers get really, really good at this. I think newer teachers especially feel pressure to prove themselves constantly, but experienced teachers know that not every season of teaching is going to look the same. And that's normal, and that's okay. Some seasons are thriving seasons, and some seasons are survival seasons. And survival seasons do not make you a bad teacher or a bad person. Okay. Another thing we need to talk about is student behavior during the end of the year, because I know that this is a huge reason teachers feel exhausted right now. Students are different this time of year. The routines feel less exciting, new, fun. Testing may have just happened or is about to happen. Schedules are changing. There's assemblies, events, interruptions, and that throws our kids off. Kids are excited for summer. They feel that weather changing. They see their pool being opened up in the backyard. Some kids are anxious about just transitions, and maybe they don't want summer. And it's the complete opposite, and they're scared to leave for the summer. School provides our kids with a lot of routine and structure, and some kids do not like breaks, do not like summer, because they will not be provided with those structure and routines that they thrive off of. Everyone is a little dysregulated right now. I just saw a post on Instagram actually this morning while I was scrolling in bed, and it said something like, I'm probably going to butcher this, but how this time of year our kids are acting like siblings who have been stuck in a car for a long road trip for way too long. And that felt so real. I can't wait to share it with my aides because that feels so real right now. And honestly, sometimes classrooms feel just chaotic because everybody is emotionally done, including us. So I think one of the biggest mindset shifts that helps during this time of year is remembering not to take every behavior personally. And I say this a lot to you guys, and this is hard for me. My friends listening to this know this is hard for me too, but we have to try to remind ourselves not to take every single behavior personally. That doesn't mean allowing disrespect or allowing chaos, but it does mean recognizing that this time of year is really hard for the kids too. And sometimes, instead of trying to control every little thing perfectly, it helps to focus on just maintaining calm, predictable structure. Keep routines as consistent as possible, as much as you can. Even when it feels tempting to just loosen everything completely, kids usually still need that structure. And at least for me, I still have 26 school days. I can't fully loosen it up. Especially now, kids and us still need that structure to survive. And I've noticed that the calmer that I stay, the calmer my classroom usually becomes. It's not perfect. It's not magically peaceful, but it's better. Sometimes exhausted teachers accidentally raise the emotional energy in the room because we're overwhelmed too. So even little things like slowing down your voice, dimming the lights during independent work, adding movement breaks into your day, or building in quieter activities can really help. And honestly, some days the goal is just simply going to be, we made it through the day. And that counts too. Which actually brings me to another thing that I really wanted teachers to remember right now. Small wins matter. I think teachers and just people in general often measure success in impossible ways. We focus on everything that went wrong instead of noticing what actually went right and identifying those small wins. Some of my friends can tell you, I'll talk to them about my day and they'll be like, anything good happen in there? And then I start listing all of the amazing things that happened and they're like, why didn't you lead with that? It's because sometimes we just focus on those negative things because it's what's bothering us the most, but we need to try to focus on those small wins. We focus on everything that went wrong instead of noticing what went right. But at the end of the year, especially, tiny wins count as big wins. Maybe a lesson went better than expected. Maybe a student who usually struggles had a really good day or a really good moment. A student who has trouble getting through their whole day got through a writing lesson. These are wins. Maybe your class transition was smoother today than it's been in a long time. Maybe you laughed with your students. Maybe you stayed calmer than you normally would have. Maybe you left work closer to contract time. These things matter. And honestly, making it through the school year at all is an accomplishment. Teaching is really, really hard. And I think sometimes teachers minimize how difficult this job really is because we're surrounded by other teachers doing the exact same thing. And we don't want to complain or we don't want to make it seem like we're having such a hard time because everyone around us might be also. But if you actually stop and think about what teachers handle every single day, it's a lot. And if you're not a teacher listening to this, I'm so glad you're here because you need to hear this too. So if nobody has told you lately, teachers, you are doing enough, even in survival mode, even while counting down the days, even while feeling exhausted, you are still showing up. You are still making a difference and your students are still benefiting from having you there. Before we end this episode, I just want to leave you with a reminder. If you are counting down the days until summer, you are not alone. It does not mean that you are lazy. It does not mean that you're ungrateful. It does not mean that you're in the wrong profession or you should think about doing something else. And it definitely does not mean that you don't care about those kiddos. It means that you have spent an entire school year giving your time, your energy, your patience, your focus, and so much of yourself to other people. And now your brain and body are asking for a break, for rest. That is human. That is normal. And honestly, you deserve it. So if all you can do right now is simplify, survive, and make it to summer one day at a time, that is okay. In fact, that's perfect. We are almost there. We can do it. Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. I hope that this made you feel a little less alone if you're deep in that end of the year survival mode right now. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it. Either just share it out or share it with a couple of teacher friends that you know that probably need to hear this. And I will see you guys in the next episode.